Hey everyone, this is Kim O'Neill from the Every Day is a New Day podcast and live show, and you're listening to the Going North podcast with the hilarious Dom Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his show so you don't miss any episodes, and remember, every day is always a new day.
And today on GMP, the great, glorious, and glamorous, the Going North podcast, we got one heck of a super special, awesome human for you today, my friends. That's right, a fellow bread warmer, fellow coach, fellow speaker. My man's helping folks break through walls and heck, break bread and then break through brick. Level heavy bread. Because my goodness, today's guest in particular, my goodness, speaker, career coach, life coach that helps others achieve more freedom and balance in life. So that's right, folks. You're going to love all the scales. And to even put the icing on the cupcake, my man has an MBA from Stanford. You heard that right, folks. An MBA from Stanford. And he's also a successful leader at Apple for over 13 years. So my man was there for Friday the 13th, 13 years in a row. My goodness, at the magical land of Apple where they bite into all the apples. And in 2018, he became a world champion by becoming certified as a life mastery consultant in 2018. So that's right, folks. For 3 years, he's been delivering champion level coaching, having navigated many of his own life experiences. Indeed. So let's give it up for the one, the only, RG Not 3 himself, Mr. Rusty Gailliard. How you doing today, Rusty?
Dom, it is good to be here with you, man. I appreciate your energy, and I'm happy to be here.
Woohoo! That's right. Happy like all the pappies, baby. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Fellow bread warmer, fellow book writer. That's right. Breaking through walls, breaking waves, making waves. That's right. Helping folks surf again.
Yeah. I know. I love the analogy because it's, we were chatting just before we started here that so much of what holds us back is us, and it's, you got to break through your own walls and you got to just tackle your own fears, your own hesitations, all of that stuff. And when you do that, man, there's so much that you can accomplish.
Yeah, never could say that again. My goodness. So like with that in particular, because heck, even that's why coaches need coaches. So what do you think has probably been helpful for you dealing with that? Because we are our own worst enemies. It's like, oh yeah, we know it, but it's like in practice, it's like, oh yay, defeated a money monster. Oh, 3 more appeared. It's like weeds. Like, what's been helpful for you with dealing with that, my man?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I was actually just talking to, I also have coaches and I have a support network and all of that. And so I was on the phone with some of them today because I don't believe any of us ever arrives. We're never perfect. We're all growing and learning and developing. And we were talking about something that was challenging for me, which is calling someone. It's like as simple as picking up the phone and calling someone, right? If you're calling a friend, that's easy. But as a coach, sometimes you call someone just to reach out and connect and say, hey, what's going on? I was thinking about you. How are you? And, sometimes I get nervous about that. I'm like, well, am I bothering them? Am I intruding? Are they going to be annoyed with me? Our mind tends to go to all the negative things, all the ways it can go wrong, all the ways it can go bad. And one of the persons said, hey, well, you've been thinking about this guy for a little while. What if he was thinking about you? What if he was actually, I wonder what's going on with Rusty. I've been thinking about him, but he didn't pick up the phone. So just that opportunity to shift your sense of thinking from all the ways it can go wrong to, hey, what if this is actually a really positive thing? What if this goes really well? What if it's a nice match? That simple way of turning around a situation and not focusing on the challenges, but focusing on the opportunities instead can make a huge difference just to make some progress and to take that step towards the thing that's holding you back.
Yeah. I can sometimes resonate with that call thing because it's like, oh, yeah, I could definitely resonate with that. It's like, yeah, friend, it's easy for the most part, but sometimes it's like, the little introvert is coming out of me. It's like, darn. It's like, do I really want to press that button? It's like, darn, interviewed 3 people in a row today. Didn't really to call somebody today.
I know.
It's like,
well, the other thing that they did for me with these friends, which was awesome, was they said, when are you going to make the call? And, it's my first inclination is next week.
Yep. Yep.
Because the more I put it off, the easier it is to put off, right? And the guy's like, hey, well, our call's ending in 15 minutes. Would you be willing to make the call as soon as our call ends? And then text us to let us know you called. And I was like, oh man, they just like blocked out any wiggle room. But I said, yes. I said, I'm willing to do that. And, shifting my thinking around it from this is the scary bad thing to, hey, what if this person wants to hear from me? And what if it's this really positive thing? And it's a nice interaction for both of us. Because I actually like talking to people. It's why I do what I do. But there's still some part of me that can be afraid of it. So just helping to reframe it, putting a timeline on it, doing it, having people to be there to support and celebrate with, all of that stuff makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference indeed. Almost for a second there, I thought they're about to say, all right, right now, buddy, mute yourself, call somebody right now. I almost thought they were going to say it. I thought you were going to say that like, oh, man. They're like, all right. And make sure when you tell them bye, you make sure we look at you the whole time via Zoom or something. I almost thought you were going to say that. Like that.
Well, but there's something that's really good in here, Don, because there's, even when you said that, I was like, oh, that would be uncomfortable. But the question is, are you willing to do it? And it really comes down to what do you want in your life? And what kind of life do you want to lead? And if you're not willing to do stuff that you're uncomfortable with, you're going to repeat, you're only doing things that you are comfortable with, which by definition means you've done them before. Because when you do something new, it's uncomfortable. So if you're comfortable, you're repeating things that you've done before, you're going to get more of the same. So if there's some part of your life that you want to improve, that you want to change, that for you would feel good to expand and be happier, then you have to be willing to do something. You got to be willing to take a step, to take action. And that's what that's part of what I talk about in this book, Breaking the Code, my book that came out recently. So we're talking about breaking down walls and breaking through things. And I talk about breaking the code as if you've been programmed, because we have been programmed by our life experience. In some cases, by our family, by our teachers, by our environment, the church, if you went to one, by your neighbors. So you've been taught what's right and wrong, what's possible, what's not possible. You've been taught all of these things, and you've reinforced that through your life experience. So in order to do something different, you got to break through that. You got to break the code, and it requires being willing to be uncomfortable. So back to your example, if they said, all right, stick it on mute, pick up the phone, make the call. Would I have been uncomfortable? Absolutely. But would I have done it? Yes. Because I'm willing to do things that are uncomfortable, because that's how they get familiar. And that's at some point how they get comfortable. And because I know it moves me forward towards my goals in life.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a powerful question right there. Are you willing to do it? Because my goodness, I'm pretty sure you didn't get to this point where you are today without that willingness, and you probably didn't even have the willingness at all the time. So for those listening right now, and they're probably like, man, I don't even know if I want to do it. Like, any advice you want to give them to help them to find that will, and, well, maybe not will and testament per se, but just to find that will?
Well, I'll tell you that just, we're again chatting about, I'm in California, you're in Baltimore, and we were chatting about that. And my ex-wife was from the Baltimore area, and we ate crabs and crab cakes and that whole thing. And that was a big part of life when I was married. But I got divorced, and getting divorced forced me to look at some things that I guess up until that point I didn't want to, or I couldn't look at, or whatever. It's like, maybe I didn't have the willingness until I got divorced. And then somehow I found the willingness. But for me, the lesson in that is that sometimes things have to get painful enough for you to be willing to change. And that's what it took for me, just getting divorced, because, it was plenty painful before then, but apparently not enough for me to get through and to learn and to break through what I needed to break through, to break the code of my own habitual ways of thinking about relationship and my life and all of that. So I had to break through that. So one way is it gets painful enough. And it's, for all of us, when it gets hard enough, we're willing to change, because the change is less hard than where we are. It's like, it's hard, it's painful enough where I am. I don't care how much it hurts to go forward, but I'm going forward, because it's just, I'm not going to tolerate being here. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to have something that's appealing enough, that you want enough. And if you have enough desire for something, then you'll go for it. You hear stories about this all over the place, that people who really want something, they say, I'm willing to do what it takes to get that. So that's the other thing. Either it's bad enough where you are, so you got to go forward, or it's good enough where you're going, so you're going to go forward. But it's one of those two things that has to move you. And if you're stuck in the middle and you're saying, well, I'm just going to stay where I am because I don't have the willingness to move yet, you got to turn up the volume on one of those two things. Either you have to realize that where you are is not serving you. And if you're going to be there 5 years more from now, 10 years from now, you're like, hey, if I'm in the same place in my life 10 years from now, am I okay with that? That's a way of turning up the pain, turning up the dissatisfaction of this is not okay with me. But the other way to turn it up is to look at where you could be 5 or 10 years from now and get excited about that.
Man, yes, indeed. That's right. Yes, indeed. Definitely got to turn that pain into power right there. And that's really what forces us to change. Heck, even classic Tony Robbins quote, like, yeah, we usually change to get more pleasure, to escape pain. So definitely got to escape that pain. Indeed. That's right. Yes, indeed. Especially if you use that pain as some pressure to bring out the inner diamond that we all have within us, indeed.
Yeah, the inner diamond, I think it's great that you brought that up, because I think that it's like we all have an inner diamond, but it all gets covered up by the muck of everyday life, and we think, oh, I got to work harder. I got to put in the time. I got to put in the effort. And we just get so bogged down in the day-to-day churn of life. But we have an inner diamond, and it's so important to take a few moments and connect with that, whether it's once a day, once a week. For those people who go to church or have some kind of spiritual practice, it's a way to connect with your own inner diamond. But whether you have that formally or you develop your own practice, doesn't matter. But it is important to connect with that part of us, because we were not put here on this earth, I believe, to suffer and to get through it and to wait for the end. And yet a lot of us approach our days and our weeks that way. We wake up in the morning and like, oh man, I can't wait till 5 o'clock so I can go home and kick the shoes off and put my feet up and have a beer and watch TV or whatever it is that you like to do. Or I can't wait until the weekend because then I get to go play with my friends or do these hobbies, whatever you have. I woke up feeling that and thinking that for a long time. And finally, one day I woke up and it was Monday and I was already looking forward to the next weekend. And it hit me and I was like, what am I doing? I'm wishing my life to disappear. It's like, I just want my life to go away so that I can have these 2 days that I enjoy. And it's just the craziness of that is what hit me. And so I'm going to come back to this idea of the inner diamond. It's like, hey, we all have that inner diamond. And if you have an inner diamond, do you want to waste it? Do you want to throw it away? Do you want to just wait for it to be over? I just came to this realization that that's not how I want to live my life. So I've got to do something to either make a change so that I'm enjoying my life more, or even if I don't make an external change, make an internal change so I'm more connected to and more in touch with that internal diamond, that sense of light and possibility and creativity and fun and laughter and joy, that I'm connected with that more on a regular day-to-day basis. And that becomes, even if I don't change my job, I can still be connected with that, and I can approach my job differently. I can approach my life differently so that I'm not waiting for it all just to pass by.
Oh yeah, definitely could say that again. Yeah, because remember one time it was right after, I'm not sure it was before or after CrossFit session. One guy was basically telling the other person like, "Hey, you don't want to wish your life away, do you?" Because folks are always once like, "Oh, I can't wait till Friday. Oh, I can't wait till 5 o'clock." Or the new one I've been hearing folks say, "Man, I've been ready for 5 o'clock since 8:30."
Oh yeah. Well, and I've been there. And I'm still there sometimes. It's not that I'm perfect by any means, we all get there. But I think part of this is just becoming more aware of it. Like you need to be alert enough to recognize when you feel that way. And it's like, oh, all right. So it's one of those days where, I've been ready for 5 o'clock since 8:30. And what am I going to do about that? Like, what do I want to change? What would make it a different experience for me? Do I go out to lunch today? Do I take a lunch break when I normally don't? When I used to work at Apple, you described earlier, I was there for 13 years. There were some days where I would literally just walk out the door and stand in the sun for a minute. I was like, I just need to be outside for a minute. I just need to walk away from all of the busyness, all of the tension and the stress. And I just need to get out and just slow down, take a few deep breaths, feel the sun on my face, listen to the birds. If there's a breeze, enjoy that. And just, simple things. But those kinds of ways of slowing down are a great way to connect and to appreciate the time that you have.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Heck, even borrowing back from the inner diamond is the fact that that wonderful pressure that was basically weighing on you with the mirages of success that you had of really just being at Apple, probably one of the top companies, top brands in the whole entire freaking globe, the whole freaking planet, and being there for 13 years, rising through the ranks, basically being on top of the world to realizing, hey, you know what, this isn't really, that's something that's really making me feel like, you know what, I'm feeling on fire today. I feel really great today. It's like, and there may be somebody listening right now dealing with that may have that day job and they're trying to jump into entrepreneurship. May not even want to be a coach. Maybe just want to do something on the side, something else that'll help them to light their soul on fire. So any advice for them? Because heck, even in the beginning of your book, you mentioned how there's two groups of people and people need to be careful of which group they are.
Yeah. And so that the two groups of people were, when they hear the story of somebody who leaves something that everybody would say, how would you possibly leave that? Like, that's such a sweet deal. And it was working at Apple. But when I told people I was leaving, some people thought I was crazy. You're nuts to walk away from that. And other people were inspired. And so the question is, how do you relate to that kind of thing? Because your reaction is a reflection of your code. It's your beliefs about the world and what works, how the world works, what your place is in the world, what's possible for people. If you're the kind of person who says, that's crazy, why would you ever leave that? You're most likely the kind of person who values stability and predictability and safety. And, there was a part of me that's that way. Of course, there's a part of all of us that's that way. If you're the kind of person that says, man, that's awesome, I'm so excited for you to leave Apple and go create your own thing, you might be someone who values innovation and creativity and adventure. And there's a part of me that relates to that too. I think most of us have both of those things. There's no right and wrong in any of this, but it's just, again, a matter of recognizing which one of those is stronger in you. Your pull for stability and safety, or your drive for creativity and innovation and adventure. And for those people who are in the day job and they're wanting to do something different, the biggest thing to recognize and to know is that you can do it. Dom, I was watching a TV series on Discovery called Undercover Billionaire.
Oh yeah.
And I just was, I got into the first episode, and I was like, this is amazing, because they take three wildly successful people, two women and a man, who literally are billionaires. They take all their money away. They take their identity away. So they have to fake a personality, and they put them in a city they've never been to. So they can't use any of their contacts. They can't say who they are. They literally have $100. They have nowhere to stay. They don't know anyone. And they drop them in a city and say, you have 90 days to build a business worth $1 million. So these people have to find a place to stay. They've got to pay for food. All they have is $100. One of them is going around knocking on doors, trying to find a hotel, and they can't find a hotel for less than $100 a night. So they're like, I don't even have one night worth of lodging to my name. So these people started at that place, and all three of them built a business that was valued at over $1 million within 90 days. All three of them cried during that 90-day experience. All three of them wanted to quit. They did this during the pandemic, by the way, but they did it. And, there are so many lessons from that, but the one that stands out to me above and beyond anything else was their personal strength and belief. And this was not just, it wasn't something that I just observed as a watcher of this show, but the people who were in the show said it, right? They would comment on, like, I could tell there was something special about this person. And the thing that was special about them had nothing to do with their money because they didn't have their money. It had to do with them and their belief and their desire and their confidence and their drive. And those are things that you have too. You may have to cultivate them. You may not feel that you've got that level of personal power, but you do. It's that inner diamond that you talked about, Dom. It's, we all have that. And it's just this infinite strength. We have this infinite power source inside of us. We wake up every day alive, breathing. Your body is functioning. You can digest food. Think about the complexity that is going on inside of your body every day. And this has nothing to do with you. You didn't deserve this. You didn't earn it. You're not getting, it's not like you have to go to work to have this. This just happens for you. It's this gift that you're given every day. And with that gift, you can do whatever it is that you want. So you've got the source of power inside of you. When you tap into that and you can apply it, you can create anything.
So I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Yeah, I need to catch up with the second season of that show, Undercover Billionaire, because my goodness, because the first one was good, and then it's like the follow-up, it's like, yeah, wow, like they found 3 of them. It's like, shoot. And with Grant, especially with his crazy self, like it's always entertaining and inspiring seeing him in action. And it's just the fact that, yeah, you're so right. The money that was taken away from them. All they got is $100, and $100 in 2020, if not 2021, isn't gonna do much or get you far at all. So having all that taken away, it's just basically whatever natural talent and gifts you have, and just how much grit you have to really have that dogged determination. As Sharon and Huff and Pulsman likes to say, is just getting through and really tapping into those inner gifts that you have and just making do with what you have, man. So my goodness, man, this is freaking hotter than fish grease right here, man. So since this is far from your first rodeo, is there a question that you wish you be asked more often when you're on the guest side of the game?
That's an interesting one. That is a good question. That one caught me off guard, Dom. What do I wish I was asked more often? Perhaps why I do what I do. Like a lot of people ask me, how do you do this? Or they're curious about this transition, right? Because I left a very kind of attractive job, an attractive position to go start up my own business. So people are curious about that, but there's a why behind it. And the why is, well, there's a little more to the story. I described earlier that I got divorced. And when I came into that, I really didn't have anyone to talk to. The kind of family I grew up in was pick yourself up, go forward. Don't spend time talking about your problems. Don't talk about your feelings, just go. So that was my mentality, right? I didn't talk about my problems. I didn't talk about my feelings, which may be one of the reasons my first marriage didn't work. But it also meant I had no one to talk to about it when it was falling apart. And so I had to learn that, and I had to build it. And I came to appreciate, I came to appreciate the power of it. And I formed a men's group. It was 5 of us, and we met every week for 2 hours for 6 years. And that was a huge commitment for each of us, but it was transformative. For each one of us during that time period, you can trace the change and how much we grew and changed in our lives during that time. How much stronger we became as people, how much more confident we became as people, how much more courageous we became, earning a willingness to do things that are uncomfortable, like we were talking about earlier. And I came to appreciate how important it is to have that in your life, to have that place where, whether it's a group of guys you hang out with, whether it's your family member, it doesn't matter who it is, but you have to have that home, that place that you can go back to, that community of people that believe in you, that support you. They don't have a vested interest in do you choose A or B, but they just want the best for you. And they know that you can have it. So for my why I do this work is to bring that to people, because I get the opportunity to talk to them and hear what their challenges are and support them and know that you can accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish, because you've got so much capability, and we all underestimate our capability. And so it's just helping people see more of themselves, embrace more of themselves, and live as a bigger version of themselves, because there's always more to be and grow and learn and do.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Something to Mountain Dew indeed. And so powerful right there about the whole men's group. If I'm not mistaken, 2 hours a week for 6 years straight, right?
That's right. That's right.
Man, oh man, that's what I'm talking about. And you said something real powerful that I'm not sure a lot of folks caught is that you could literally trace the change and the confidence that each and every single one of you gained over that time. So that's probably a question for folks to write down is can you chase your, or could you, that's a tongue twister, say that 5 times fast. Can you trace your own changes that you're making in your own life and seeing if it's a change for the better or the better?
Yeah. Uh, well, we often compare ourselves to other people. We often look outside and say, "Oh, well, man, look at that person. They're doing so much better than I am." And I do this all the time, and it's hard not to, right? Because we always see someone around us who's doing more, better, faster than we are. But one of the things it's just never helpful, that's the thing about comparing yourself to other people. It's just what's the good of that? For me, there's two ways to shift your perspective on that. One is when you look at someone else, if they're doing something amazing, one of the things you can realize is if they can do it, it's possible. And if it's possible, I can do it. It's one of the things I loved about that show, The Undercover Billionaire, that I was talking about. I was like, man, these guys are on fire and they're struggling and it was hard. And like I said, they wanted to quit, but they did it. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. If they can do that, I could do that. So getting that sense of confidence that if it's possible for someone else, it's possible for you too. But if you're going to compare, I want to go back to what you said, Dom, which is to compare to yourself. Where were you a year ago, 2 years ago? How have you grown? What have you done? What have you changed? What have you learned? Because that is the only real benchmark in life, is to keep learning and growing. And as you keep learning and growing, you just become a better and better version of yourself. And what else, what more could you really want in life? At the end of the day, when you look back on life, what is going to be important to you? And I think emphasizing those things, being more and more true to yourself, being who you are, and surrounding yourself with people who value that and cherish it. And when you can value and cherish it in them, I mean, that's, kind of simple, but what more do you want from life?
Oh, yeah. I can say that again, indeed. That's right, folks. That's right. When somebody's out there doing something that you're liking, you're like, oh man, why not me? Like, forget that. Ask, like, hey, you know what? Forget even the asking. Just say to yourself, hey, if they could do it, I could do it too. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Kind of like that classic Roger Bannister with the one, what was it, the 4 minute mile that
Yeah.
folks are trying to break for years. And when he finally did it, like freaking high schoolers can do it now every freaking school year. Hundreds, if not thousands of them can do the 4 minute mile, even less, maybe 3.5 minutes or whatever.
Well, and the funny thing about that story, Dom, is like people thought it was physically impossible. They just, they said, we've analyzed the human body and it is impossible for this human body to run the 4 minute mile. Science. This was science representing the best knowledge of the day. And they were wrong. But within, I don't remember, maybe it was like 90 days after Roger Bannister broke that barrier, something like 10 other people did. So it's not like it, yes, today there's high schoolers and all these other people who did it, but it's not like it took years and years for this, once the record was broken for it to be repeated. It happened like that. So what changed in that time period? Science? The human body? No, what changed was a belief. What changed was a belief that it's possible. And once people said, oh my gosh, this guy did it, maybe I can do it too. Boom, a whole bunch of people did it all in quick succession. There's a huge lesson in that.
Heck yeah, man. Definitely could see that again, indeed. Well, another fun question I've been torturing guests with recently. Well, maybe not. Torturing's probably a bad word for it. But just something fun, something out of the box. So with this wonderful book that you have, that's also on audio form that you're reading as well. So folks need to grab some copies of that too and take you on the go or do some read-along swag and have you read it to them. Is that if your book was a particular food item, since it's mind food, what food item would it be?
I think it would be hot sauce. Because it's spicy, it's a little spicy, and it's going to be uncomfortable, I think, for some people to say, I don't know, can I handle this? Because, but there's something, hot sauce adds to food. It adds spice, of course, but it adds flavor. It kind of wakes you up. It makes you appreciate the complexities of things. It makes you pay attention. And that's really the intention of my book, is we can get so used to our life. It's like we get momentum behind us. It's like, I'm going in this direction, and this is just where I'm heading. And this is what Monday looks like, because this is what last Monday looked like. And so we do the same things over and over and over again. And, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, unless it's not working for you. And that's where the hot sauce comes in. It's like, hey man, I eat the same thing for breakfast every day. Well, sometimes I like a little Tabasco on my eggs. It's that, you gotta spice things up, do something a little different. And we all, as much as we all like routine and consistency, we all thrive to some extent on variety and adventure. And that's really the point of my book, is just say, hey, wake up, look at your life. Where do you want something a little different? And you can do it. You just got to have the willingness, as we've been talking about, to do it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Some hot sauce. That's right. Throw some hot sauce on the burrito, baby. That's right.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny, if just thinking about that, and as a reflection of my own life, when I was a kid. So I grew up in Minnesota, and in Minnesota, we tended to eat pretty bland foods. And we rarely ate out, like Chinese food, which, now there's a Chinese restaurant everywhere. There may have been there 10. That may have been the true then as well. But for me, Chinese food was like so exotic. I was like, what? Like Chinese food? Wow. And I never liked spicy things. I was like, no way. Spicy things are uncomfortable. In my mind, they were bad. I was like, why would you want to put spicy things on anything? So, but now I've come to the point where I enjoy spicy things. I put hot sauce on a lot of my foods because I enjoy the spice. I enjoy the flavor. I enjoy the whole experience. And I think there's something to be said about that parallel between the food experience and the life experience. One of the things I played around with during the pandemic was taking cold showers. Every morning for over a year, I took a cold shower. And pretty much every day I stood there debating, do I really want to do this? Am I really going to step in this cold shower? It's uncomfortable. It's going to hurt. And it's like, even if I had done this for months and months and months in a row, and I still debated it. And the reason I was doing it was because I wanted to demonstrate to myself that I'm willing to be uncomfortable, first of all. And second of all, that it's never as bad as I think it will be. And then the third thing, which I came to learn as I was going through this process, was this practice of relaxing. Because when something's uncomfortable, and a cold shower is a great example, I got in there and I would tense up. And I would be all tense. And I'd be like, well, maybe if I tighten everything up a little bit more, I won't feel the cold. And then I'd be like, okay, how fast can I get out of here? Right? Like, and my showers got much shorter once I turned the temperature down. I'll tell you that. But I started this practice of, what would it look like to just relax? What would it look like? And how can I practice being relaxed, even though it's uncomfortable? And then just recognizing, like, okay, it's cold. Am I okay? Yep, I'm okay. And, as I stay in here for another moment, do I kind of get used to it? I actually do. And then when I get out, am I going to feel good? Yes, because inevitably I would feel good when I got out of the shower. And, and just a side note on that, that feeling where you don't want to get out of the shower because it's warm and comfortable, and when you get out, it's going to be cold. Well, it's the opposite when you're taking a cold shower. So, and how much what percentage of your day do you spend in the shower? It's a pretty small percentage of your day. So why not look forward to getting out of the shower instead of looking forward to getting in the shower? Anyway, it's like you look forward to getting on with your day. So there were all these different ways in which this thing, this cold shower experiment was positive. And gave me more willingness to move forward and do uncomfortable things and stretch myself in life, because I did it every day just out of commitment, because I made a decision to do it. So it's a little bit like the spicy food. It's a little bit like the hot sauce. It's how do you build your willingness to do something that stretches you to a new level?
Oh yeah, that's right. That rubber band swag, that cold shower swag, and hey, rarely folks ever talk about cold showers on this podcast, and I freaking love it. Like, man, cold showers are freaking awesome when you stick to it as a habit. Because once you get off the habit, it's game over. But it's really game over. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
do it. Oh no, let me check it out.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's yeah. Well, and anything, once you build a habit, it's easier to stick in it. And if you fall out, man, it's like starting from scratch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I used to do that myself. The cold showers, good times. Man, felt like I could run through 5 brick walls after.
Exactly.
The first
Exactly.
minute. It's like, oh, I'm so relaxed now. It's like, oh, okay. Breathing deeper. It's like, oh, this is great. Skin feels even better too. Like, all right, this is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time you're in 2021 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
The advice I would give to myself is to slow down long enough to figure out what is it that I really like doing, and then to have the courage to do it. So much of my life I was just going fast, doing the thing that was in front of me. And life is fast paced, right? Between work and kids and just all the commitments that we have in life, things are fast paced. One of the upsides of the last year and a half is it was a lot slower, and people got to look at, what do I like in my life and what do I not like in my life, and what's good and what do I want to change. And so use that to your advantage. And I wish I had done more of that when I was 25, because when I was 25, I was just in a hurry. I was in a hurry to get to the next level, to get the promotion, to get the next good job, to get married, to have the kids, just check all the boxes, to do all the things that I was supposed to do. But, slowing down, taking a moment and just saying, what do I like doing? What's fun? How do I get more of that? What's rewarding in life? Asking those kinds of questions. And then, as we've been talking about, the willingness or the courage to do it. And it's always scary. It always is. There's because you're doing something new if you're going in a new direction. And, for me, it was this whole idea of I was in such a hurry to go check all the boxes, to do all the right things, to get the next promotion. The idea of going off and becoming a coach, starting my own business, that wasn't even a possibility that I thought about and ruled out. It was something I didn't even think about. It was invisible to me. I didn't see it because it was so different from the busy life, goal-oriented, push hard, go, go, go that I was living. So I didn't even see it. So that for me is where that advice comes from. You got to slow down long enough to see, what do you like? What do you not like? What's important to you? What kind of life do you want to live? And then have the guts to do it, because you only get one shot, right? It's like you're only 25 once, you're only 30 once. Each year, each day, each moment comes and goes. So don't wish it away. If you're finding you're not happy with it, look at that. Do something with it. Make a change. Will it be scary and will it require some courage? Of course. But you've got everything you need. You got that inner diamond. It's that inner fuel source. It's like Iron Man, right? You got that little glowing thing on your chest. And with that, you can tackle anything.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed. You can tackle anything. That's what I'm talking about. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right. That's right. My man Rusty's been leaving some radiant gems, y'all. I'm telling you, that's right. Y'all better be catching these gems and putting them on a tennis bracelet, metaphorically, y'all. I'm telling you. And he's been dropping these gems, man, bringing the heat. That's right. Bringing the hot ice. That's right. The spicy hot ice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right indeed. That's right. Heck, maybe the spicy hot dry ice.
Now you're getting pretty cold. I don't know, Dom.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's probably further from the east to the west. Dry ice and maybe some center of the sun action.
Yeah.
Well, for those who want to get to the center of their own metaphorical sun by breaking the code and buying this magical book and keeping up with all that you're doing, what's the best way for folks to do so?
Yeah. So Breaking the Code is on Amazon. Easiest way to find it is search for Breaking the Code Rusty, because there's other books out there with that same name. So if you include my name in there, just Breaking the Code Rusty, it'll pop right up to the top. You can also go to my website, rustygailliard.com. My last name is spelled Gailliard. So Rusty, RUSTY, GAILLARD.com. And on the website, you can download the first 2 chapters for free. So go check it out, read the first 2 chapters. I'm sure you'll like it. Go check out the book. You can get it on Amazon. As you said, it's Audible and paperback and Kindle. So any format that works for you.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. Head over to rustygailliard.com. Pick up some copies of the book. Share it with your cat. Share it with your penguin. Share it with your dog, a camel. Heck, if you can find a llama, share it with a llama too, folks. That's right. Heck, if that llama has a keyboard and an Apple PC in front of it, share it, especially with that llama indeed, so it can break the code, y'all. That's right. That's right. So it can jailbreak your way to the success that you truly deserve, folks. I'm telling you. That's right, indeed, because Rusty's got you covered. He's got the code for you. So any parting words before we close up shop, my man?
Oh, just that last message that we've been talking about. That I love that the visual of the inner diamond, or the Iron Man power source. Like you all have that. So it's there for you. I know sometimes we don't feel it. Sometimes we feel tired. Sometimes we feel worn out. Sometimes we feel beat down by life. And I get that. And you have more than you know. You are more than you know. And when you connect with that and live from it, man, the sky's the limit.
Thanks a bunch for listening to this podcast episode. Hope you really enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to this show if you haven't already, because more greatness is coming your way. And if you're so inclined, be sure to share with at least 3 other people in your network, so that way more folks can catch the fire that is on the Going North podcast. Keep winning at life and advance others to advance yourself.